And good evening, everyone. This is the Rooftop Sports. Alongside, we got our friends Couch GM and Trident podcast. Here we are going over with some Mariners talk to discuss how spring training's been going, bullpen injuries, and many, many more. Now, before we get started, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification for all three of us Rooftop Sports, myself, Couch GM, and the Trident podcast. And how are you two gentlemen doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yep, same. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. As always, doing good.
Yeah, excellent. But I must want to say that now I'm sure he's okay with me saying this, but there's this whole saying of the butt dialing when you accidentally call 911. Trident podcast butt blocked me last night, and I looked at my messages. I was like sending him stuff of like the link to the show, and I go, Trident, did you block me? And he basically said I butt blocked, and I was like, did I say anything?
Now I'm wondering who else I've butt blocked on Twitter. Some poor people that are probably like, oh, I really like your show or something. And now I've blocked half of them by accident. I keep my phone in my pocket at work for, I work.
It almost might be worse than doing a butt dial of 911 at this point. if you butt blocked like half your fans, ooh. Let's hope that's not the case.
But for anybody, it was a mistake. I keep my phone in my pocket at work because I'm working out in the field. So I listen to music and podcasts. I should probably find somewhere else to put my phone because I end up taking screenshots of stuff and, all that. So, apparently I've blocked Rooftop. I think because you had messaged me. So I had responded and then I just put it back in my pocket and it must have just, hit that. So nope, no blocking. No blocking. We are good.
Either way, it was oopsie. We're going to. This is what our show is going to be about. We're going to talk about the Mariners bullpen. And it's kind of sad that all these injuries are happening because this was actually the first year in like so many years that I was actually excited for this bullpen. And I was excited for Matt Brash because a year ago, I think both Rooftops of 23 and 24 would have argued with each other about Matt Brash. I was looking forward to that. And then Mariners key offensive players that are performing, questions about Mariners outfielding on how Mariners are going to work that out. Some Mariners prospects that have been sent down. And we're going to also talk about predicting the opening day lineup and where is Blake Snell going to be. So let's get started with the Mariners bullpen injuries, and there has been quite a bit. We all saw Matt Brash suffered that injury. Luckily, he is at least not going to miss the season, but will miss opening day. Same with Gregory Santos. Unfortunately, he is going through the same thing. And Jackson Kowar, we saw, got that Tommy John surgery, which is devastating because he was performing very well in spring training, and it looked like that he was going to take that spot. And it looked like it was going to work out well with the Jared Kelenic trade. But now, unfortunately, the Mariners, as of now, have traded Jared Kelenic for two Mariners prospects or two Mariners pitchers, one of them a prospect, now has, both of them are having Tommy Johns. And Mariners did recently sign someone, Ryan Stanek, out of the Houston Astros. So maybe some World Series experience may help. So, gentlemen, like, what are your thoughts on this Mariners bullpen? And Couch GM, take me your thoughts on what has been going on.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see at the start of heading into the season with Matt Brash, arguably your most valuable bullpen guy aside from Justin Topa last year. He's going to start the year on the IL. Also, Gregory Santos, the big arm that you just acquired. There was, word that he ended last season with a small injury. They just kind of took him out and it wasn't anything serious, but I'm curious if it's some of that and some of just the natural fatigue coming into the season. But those are two guys that obviously you're going to be relying on this year. So hopefully they're pitching in April. Based on DePoto's comments, it sounds like they both realistically will be pitching in April. They're progressing with their throwing programs. Well, Santos was just shut down again, but Brash is progressing with his throwing program. And then you add in, Ryan Stanek. we thought it was because of the Jackson Kowar news, but they might have started to see, the Matt Brash Santos stuff and started to act accordingly. So you had Ryan Stanek, another one of those high leverage guys that has experience in the playoffs and the World Series in years past. And I mean, I made a video on the Mariners bullpen being the most valuable this year. Then you add Ryan Stanek to it. You replace Jackson Kowar, who has high upside but hasn't been proven in the big leagues, had an inflated ERA and all these metrics, and you replace him with a proven guy. So I mean, it's a big add, and the Mariners bullpen still looks fantastic.
Trident, you.
Yeah, I feel like every time we got Couch on, I'm just like, yeah, pretty much echo everything he said there. But I mean, really, it is spot on with everything that Couch GM said there. And obviously, like listen, losing Brash and Santos stinks, and I'm always nervous with pitcher injuries with their arms, just because it starts out small and then it can just escalate. I'm not trying to doom and gloom it or anything, but I'm very much like, until I see them on the mound, I'm nervous. I was nervous last year with Munoz when he was out, that it's going to turn into something, like with Robbie Ray, it was going to be a few weeks and then it's TJ and then the season's over. So I always get very nervous with pitching injuries just because it's such a violent throwing motion, especially for guys like Brash with the sliders and everything, and Santos as well. I still think the bullpen's pretty solid. To Couch's point, like you add Ryan Stanek, and whether it was, like I said, because the Kowar injury, or just, I think it was just a little bit of everything. I think it was, they knew Kowar was going to be out. Santos and Brash not going to be ready for opening day. I mean, after Munoz, you're looking at, Trent Thornton, Gabe Spire, who are solid pitchers. Thornton to me is kind of an underrated guy. Gives up the long ball a little bit, but good strikeout to walk ratio. And now you add Ryan Stanek, and like Couch said, he's been in the postseason. He's pitched in high leverage spots. So you've got a guy with good experience, which is, I don't put like a ton of stock in that. Talent is talent, but in a bullpen with, relying on Carlos Vargas and some of these guys, Thornton, who was solid last year, but wasn't here the whole year. It is nice to have a veteran in there that I think can come into some of these high leverage situations, especially early on, because we know how managers are early in the season. They're going to rely on the veteran guys. Stanek's probably going to be the 8th inning guy, Munoz the 9th, or however Scott wants to do it. And it's going to give guys like Vargas, Thornton, Spire definitely proved himself last year as well, but give these guys a chance to pitch 6th, 7th inning. And then maybe if they, prove that they can handle it, they can take more high leverage spots as well down the road. I think the bullpen's still fine, but definitely want Santos and Brash back, because it went from legit, like Couch said, like best bullpen in baseball, in my opinion, to now, you got a little, it gets a little trickier. It's a little trickier now. Still a lot of upside in the bullpen though, I think.
Yeah, definitely the upside. And things that make me nervous about the injuries is, like, we saw Munoz, and I think you may have said it already, but yeah, Munoz had that injury last year and he just wasn't that 2022 Andres Munoz. And now I'm nervous about Matt Brash and Santos. Maybe they won't be the guys that we are hoping for. Like, because I thought that Matt Brash, if he was healthy, he was going to even take it to the next level and hopefully not be the streaky Matt Brash that we saw last season, where he started the season with 5-something ERAs. But then when I looked at those games, when I saw Matt Brash give up those hits, I realized, oh, he just gave up the fluky Texas leaguer that literally no one is going to catch. Like, he
was
had
the BABIP. He was BABIP to death in April.
Yeah, he was. And then he finally figured it out towards the end of the season. I finally admitted that he was actually our best pitcher in the bullpen last season. So I'm definitely going to miss him deeply, but at least if he misses just April, hopefully it could be looked at as he gets a little bit more fresh going later in the season. Mariners have an opportunity to experiment whoever has been in the spring training, hopefully, to see who can actually contribute, which begs the question of, who do you guys think could take those last 1 or 2 spots? Like, names like Carlos Vargas has shown up there. And when I look at the depth chart, they're saying that Austin Voth is the other guy. Like, has anyone got ideas of like who could be the last 2? I mean, at this point, maybe Vargas does get that shot, maybe reluctant, because I look at his numbers, he's quite a streaky guy.
Yeah, I would say I mean, Vargas makes sense. Both probably will get the start, or will have a spot just because of the injuries to start. And I heard that he also doesn't have any other minor league options. So they either have to release him or have him start on the major league roster, which is likely to be the case. He'll be the long relief guy in the, non-leverage situations. I also saw Ryan Divish tweet the other day, an interesting guy that I haven't heard of before, but he said that reliever Tyson Miller has impressed the Mariners with how much he's embraced their pitching input. A lot of similarities to Paul Sewald in terms of arm slot and pitch profile. On Ryan Divish's Twitter, it shows a video of him throwing a bullpen, Tyson Miller. He's got like a leg kick, and then he comes out of that lower arm slot like Paul Sewald. He's, he averaged 91 with the fastball, so also with the lower, velocity and the slider. We'll see if he actually logs any innings, but it's an intriguing name. Realistically, though, yeah, both Thornton, Carlos Vargas now has a better opportunity.
Hopefully Vargas can carry that good vibes only torch, because he was off that Eugenio Suarez trade. So hopefully he can step up on that. And Trident, you got any thoughts on what you've seen on spring training of who you think can take those last two spots, just to at least stall time for Brash and Santos?
Yeah, for sure. Voth, obviously, like Couch said, he's out of options, or so, like they can't option him, so he'll make it. He signed a major league deal, so especially now with some of the injuries, he'll be in there. But I think, again, Moore's like a long guy. I don't think he's going to pitch too many high leverage spots. Vargas, who I don't think Vargas was on the fence. I think they love the stuff. It's been very inconsistent so far in spring. You see moments where you're like, this guy's unhittable. Then you see other moments where he's just going to walk guys and give up. You know what I mean? So it's back and forth there, but Vargas will make it. Thornton will make it. We haven't talked about Saucedo. He'll be in there. Spire, Stanek, Munoz, and maybe one other. I saw that Divish article as well. I didn't know about Tyson Miller either, so you guys aren't alone on that one. I think he pitched today, actually. Maybe not. I don't know. There's always a few names that I don't remember. And then trying to think of anybody else. Casey Lawrence looked pretty good as kind of a starter. I imagine he's probably going to be in Tacoma as sort of another swingman, almost kind of like what they had with Luke Weaver last year would be my guess on that. So I don't think he'll make it, but he's looked pretty good in spring. I don't put a ton of stock into spring, but it's always nice when guys pitch pretty well. In fact, I think someone mentioned Lawrence in the comments there. So, and there's a bunch of other guys that I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about. Jonathan Diaz looked pretty good when I saw him a couple times. I don't know if they optioned him yet or not, or if he's still hanging around the major league camp. I know Kirby Snead was sent to minor league camp today. So there's always a few other names down there, but I think the names we've rattled off here will be the primary options. And then when Brash and Santos come back, those things always work themselves out. Someone else will be hurt. Someone will suck. They'll make that work.
Yeah, those are good points. And to answer the question about Miller, Tyson Miller, let me double check and make sure it is Tyson Miller, because it just says T Miller. And it was Tyson Miller. He pitched 2 full innings with 2 strikeouts against the offensive power-hungry Los Angeles Dodgers. So maybe that will catch the attention. So maybe it might be Tyson Miller and Carlos Vargas. And I would think Carlos Vargas will probably he'll probably be more of the garbage time guy if Mariners are either winning big or losing big. Now, looks like that's covered everything for the bullpen. We basically said hopefully these guys can stall the time for Brash and Santos. Hopefully Munoz could be healthy. Hopefully Ryan Stanek can work out and he won't walk too many guys, but maybe Scott can teach him, because he seems to do a good job keeping those walks down. But we got a question from our friend John. He must be one of your guys, Couch. He was asking, do we think the Mariners will get Blake Snell? And if that happens, would you do that and be willing to move Brian Wu or Bryce Miller?
Jay, do you want to start on this one?
Sure. I would not be mad if they signed Blake Snell. Like, Blake Snell's a good pitcher. It makes your rotation better. And you could maybe even do like kind of a weird 6-man rotation. I'm getting out of left field here where you could rotate Woo and Miller to preserve their innings. I mean, that could backfire too, and they don't get enough consistent starts. I don't think they're going to. I'd be very, very shocked at this point if they sign Blake Snell. I mean, he's lasted this long. The market's obviously, I don't think it's dried up on Snell. I just think I think Snell is wanting to be paid like a Cy Young guy. And I think teams view him as more of a number 2, number 3 versus a number 1. Honestly, maybe I'm just at the point I'd kind of rather just give Woo and Miller. I mean, I go back and forth. Like I said, I wouldn't hate it. Blake Snell's a good pitcher. It makes the team better. But I've kind of just gotten to the point where I think they're going to roll with Woo and Miller, and I'm kind of just on that train right now. I'm a big fan of Woo, and Miller's looks solid as well. I haven't watched too much to know how that splitter is looking, but I don't think they will. I'd of course be fine with it. It's an upgrade to the team. I will never be mad at the team getting better, even if it is like a short-term thing, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, but earlier in the offseason, it definitely made sense, when there was the rumors of the Mariners trading one of Bryce Miller, Brian Woo. Once it was clear that they weren't going to go that direction, I mean, you talk about the payroll concerns, the fact that Blake Snell was asking for whatever insane contract he was trying to get. I don't think the Mariners are going to be signing him at this point. And, you gotta lean on Bryce Miller, Brian Woo, give them their true opportunity to show their value and what they can be, especially both of them coming off of rookie years. They hadn't pitched a ton in the past before that. So see if they can take the next step. You have Emerson Hancock there as the 6 in case you do need to send Brian Woo down, miss a few starts, something like that if he's fatigued. You got Emerson Hancock that's back up to 97 with the sinker. He was first round draft pick in, I believe, 2020. And so you have another potential guy that was supposed to be there before Bryce Miller, Brian Woo, ready to go as well. So I think they're in a great spot with the starting rotation. I'm going to be posting a video in the next couple of days talking about the Mariners rotation. And I think this might be the best starting rotation the Mariners have had in history. And it's the best rotation in baseball.
I think you're right about that, because the last time the Mariners had this kind of rotation, probably not as good as this one. Hopefully we can say that. It was probably the 2001 team where it was Freddie Garcia, Jamie Moyer, Aaron Seeley, Paul Abbott, and rookie Joel Pinheiro as your number 5, or John Halama. So I think the upside is certainly there that this one could be the best bullpen or best starting rotation in baseball. And if everyone's healthy for the bullpen, this could maybe surpass the 2001 bullpen. And it's pretty unusual for me to say that, because I'm the biggest bullpen critic in the entire Mariner fan base. I will admit that. But now might as well just get it out of the way about Blake Snell. Predictions on Blake Snell, on where he will be, and I will make a very bold prediction. I think he will go to the Texas Rangers, because Texas has a pretty depleted starting rotation. DeGrom's still hurt. Scherzer's still hurt. They're not signing Montgomery, it looks like. So maybe if the price is right, he'll go to Texas. And that way, Blake Snell can go home at least a couple times a year.
I'll have to go with the Yankees just because, I mean, they have, obviously unlimited payroll basically, so they can make him happy, whether it's a shorter term or longer term deal. Garrett Cole is going to be out for, I believe, 1 to 2 months is what the report just came out with. So the Yankees definitely need some help with the starting rotation. And if they can add a Blake Snell to that, that would help with that gap in Garrett Cole. And especially if he misses extended time, then you essentially have a new ace for your team.
I'll say he goes to the Oakland Athletics on a 10-year I think both you guys. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, right. I think both you guys are spot on. Texas makes a ton of sense. I'll also echo the Yankees just because, like Couch said, that they've got the payroll, and they're a team that can say, "Hey, our ace is going to miss a month or two. We can sign Blake Snell and then just slide him back in the rotation." Or when Garrett Cole's ready to go, they're a type of team that has that payroll. Just been a weird offseason, outside of the Dodgers, nobody, as much as we want to and I will criticize this ownership group till the day I die, but the Mariners have been active. I will give them credit. They are one of the few teams that has been very active this offseason. Even the Yankees, I mean, they got Soto off, so it's huge, but even they have been pretty quiet compared to normal. But I'll go with the Yankees there. I think Texas would be a good fit for him as well. But Texas has been extra quiet this offseason. I think they got Dave Robertson in the bullpen. And unless I'm missing somebody else, I don't think they've really, I mean, they've got some prospects coming up, so that kind of fills some of their voids, but they've not been very active. So they could sneak in. It depends on what Blake Snell ends up doing too. That's the other key. Is he willing to take a smaller deal than gets more teams, involved? So we'll see what happens, but I'll go Yankees 1, Rangers 2.
I hope for Blake Snell's sake that he chooses a different agent, not Scott Boras, because this has not been an ideal offseason for him. But that's going to conclude it for the Mariners bullpen. We're going to move on to key offensive players for the Mariners. And the ones that stand out the most, that from what I have seen, it has been Mitch Haniger. And hopefully, the way he's been performing, that would be close to the 2021 Mitch Haniger. And hopefully, we get that guy. Mitch Garver's been playing very well. We're all hoping that he's healthy. Jorge Polanco's been picking it up. Cal Raleigh's been doing well. Samad Taylor, yeah, everything's below 300 on average in OBP. I mean, 269 is not bad for today's baseball. Dom Canzone's been doing okay. So hopefully those guys will keep performing. And Couch, anyone that has stood out to you throughout the spring training offensively?
I mean, you look up and down the lineup, and as far as the starting lineup for the Mariners on opening day, really there isn't anyone that you can complain too much about. I mean, everyone's been hitting. Just looking at top line stats, I haven't been able to watch a ton of games, unfortunately, just due to work, and then also the fact that none of these games are ever televised, which is extremely frustrating. But the fact that Mitch Haniger is batting 412, Ty France is 261. It's interesting seeing Haniger slotted right after Mitch Garver. The fact that Mitch Garver is batting 350, he's looked great this spring. I could go up and down. Polanco's hitting 400 now. Julio's at 429 with a 1.2 OPS. But as far as standouts, I'd have to say Haniger and Mitch Garver are the two. It's very promising to see Mitch Haniger healthy, contributing. And then Mitch Garver, I think, is going to be a huge addition.
Yeah, I mean, once again, as always, I'll just kind of ditto what Couch said on that. I mean, it's everybody in the lineup. The only one that hasn't really hit is Luke Raley. That's the only guy that I think has just struggled so far. The rest of them are all crushing the ball, so it's hard to be down at any of them. We talked a little bit before the show started. I am buying into Mitch Haniger. He looks healthy, like he looks the part. And I always say don't put a ton of stock into spring training. When I say that, though, I mean like, there can be results. Seeing eye grounders can get through. You can get some outs that, maybe just working on some things, or guys are working on their swings, so they may struggle. But Mitch Haniger looks healthy. He looks, at the very least, like the start of 2022 Haniger. We don't need him to be 21 Haniger. That'd be amazing. But even if you get a full season of 22 staying healthy, that's a big boost for this team. And I was a little bit worried about Mitch Haniger with the injuries, and just that maybe it's just, not going to work. And it still might not, but Mitch Haniger, I'm buying in. Like, he looks like he's back. Mitch Garver has been amazing. I mean, there's really nothing to be upset about with even like Luis Urias, as much as he's been like maligned on Twitter all off season. The guy's had a nice spring training. He's hitting the ball well. I don't know about the arm, how it's looking at third necessarily, but I mean, even someone like that is having a real nice spring, despite being kind of, seems to be kind of the one guy's being picked on the most a little bit, but even he's hitting the ball. So it's Luke Raley is really the only guy that hasn't hit yet.
It's amazing that Luis Urias has been playing pretty well. It sounds like maybe he did read those tweets and maybe he did feed off of it, because there were concerns he was out of shape. So it makes us think, how can he stay healthy and play defense? But that third base really does make me nervous. Like, I really miss Eugenio Suarez for that. He was like the one guy I was willing to take 200 strikeouts as long as he keeps Julio calm and plays good defense and hits the ball well, as long as he's not striking out. But it is what it is. Hopefully we can see what Josh Rojas can do off of the Paul Sewald trade and Luis Urias. So we'll see. We can only time will tell. And other things that also may have stood out to me was also Cade Marlowe, who has been playing pretty well in the spring training. He's batting 292. He's hit a home run. He's really trying to fight for that last spot for the outfield, but I wouldn't expect him to be on the opening day necessarily, just because the outfield does have some good players in Rayleigh, Haniger, Canzone. Hopefully, Canzone can make that breakout season, because that is the assumption, the expectation for Dominic Canzone is to have that breakout season, which we do need, because that will make up for the vacancy of Jared Kelenic. At least the April to May Jared Kelenic, it would make up for that vacancy. So hopefully everything will work out. And now we're going to go to Mariners prospects that were just sent down. We just got a report that these guys just got sent down to minor league camp. They were Kirby Snead, Harry Ford, Tyler Locklear, Cole Tucker, and my other favorite, Cole Young. Now, it's not a surprise that any of them got sent down. I am a little bit surprised Cole Young got sent down a little bit sooner. I thought they would keep him at least for another week. Tyler Locklear, I thought they would keep him for another week, but who knows? But any of those prospects that have been standing out, like Lazaro Montez has been doing pretty well, and Johnny Farmello, who's barely even played in Modesto, has been hitting the ball pretty well. Any of your favorite prospects throughout the spring training so far?
Jay?
Yeah, Farmelo's been great, and I always think of him because, Couch, you had him on your show, with interviews. So that's always been really cool. I didn't know about him till then, so it's been cool to kind of follow him since that interview that you did with him, which was awesome, by the way. And no problem. And then Cole Tucker is Vanessa Hudgens. Is that who that is? That's her husband, right?
Hudgens, I think.
So so we're not going to see her at spring training, I guess, anymore. But no, listen, none of those guys were guys that we expected to make the team. I'm with you, Rooftop. A little surprised that maybe Cole Young didn't stay up for a little bit longer because he was having a real nice spring. But and Tyler Locklear was as well, at least last time I looked at the numbers. So, and I was hoping to go to a game next week and see some of those guys, but obviously that won't be happening now. But nothing surprising there. None of those guys were going to make the opening day roster, but definitely kind of the first wave of like bigger names to be sent down a little bit. We're starting to get now, like Michael Chavis the other day, guys that, maybe had some chance to make the roster, or the bigger prospects starting to go down. So we're starting to get closer to the opening day, 26 here.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Johnny Farmello, he's been a lot of fun to watch. And I listened to an interview today, the Mariners podcast, and the Mariners minor league hitting coach or hitting developer manager, something like that, was talking about Johnny Farmello and how they call him the Ferrari. Because, I mean, he's like a sports car. He's the fastest guy on the field, apparently. He's big, tall, and strong. He has all 5 tools. So Johnny Farmello might be one of those guys that it climbs pretty quickly. But the Mariners bats in their farm system look very promising. They're up and down the board. Cole Young, the fact that he's 20 years old right now, he's going to be 21 at some point this season. You might see a 21-year-old Cole Young playing third base for the Mariners at some point this year, which is insane. We'll see how much the prospect promotion incentive pick delays teams, until waiting for the next year opening day. But Cole Young can come up and contribute and be a solid bat and third baseman. Tyler Locklear, one of those two guys is going to be playing third base for the Mariners at some point later this year. So just that general group, I think, is really exciting to see.
It really is, and it's really nice that they got some game time in spring training. And we can all agree that, again, if only the games were on TV, because there were a couple games I was thinking, like, my schedule lined up with the whole don't quit your day job thing. And that one day, it wasn't even on TV, and I was crushed. But I heard on Friday, there's going to be a prospect showdown between the Mariners and the Padres on Friday. So if you somehow have a TV somewhere around you, tune into that. Now, I was looking up Cole Young on his position experience, They said mostly shortstop and second base, but maybe he'll adapt to the hot corner. And Couch GM was blacked out. Oh, there you are.
My camera shut off. Every 30 minutes,
Oh.
I have to click the button.
Nice. But yeah, maybe Cole Young can play that third base. And I think he should if he can play shortstop, because we saw A-Rod go from shortstop to third base. We've seen Cal Ripken go from shortstop to third base. So anything's possible. Now for Tyler Locklear, I saw that he was once a third base. I think because of that injury that he had last year, I think they may keep him at first base unless something drastic happens with like the third base pretty much goes to you know where. So we'll see about that. And I must read out all the prospects, top 5 that we are seeing. Cole Young, Harry Ford, Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montez, Felnine Celestine, Johnny Farmello, Ty Pete, Tyler Locklear, Jonathan Clase, Michael Arroyo. It's going to be fun. A lot of fun to watch. And if you want to watch Johnny Farmello, assume that he starts in Modesto, head over to California. Lazaro Montez, go to Everett, which I'll be going there at least a few times. And Cole Young, head over to Arkansas. So that will do for all the Mariners prospect matters. Now the next thing we shall go to is we're going to predict the opening day starting lineup, which will be fun. I think we tried it before, but it was kind of disastrous and just completely out of place. And
I don't know. I think we were pretty spot on. Looking back, I don't think we were that far off. I don't remember.
No, I mean,
all
just the way it was executed. I felt like I was just getting overwhelmed. But this time, hopefully, we have a better idea this time. So let's go over the starting lineups for your 2024 Seattle Mariners. And Couch, you go first because you already made a video. Now, I guess we can make 2 of them because there's going to be a lot of platooning matters. So let's just do that.
Yeah, I mean, my initial lineup, I had Haniger in the Canzone. I figured that Haniger and Canzone would be the platoon in right field. As so far it's been Canzone starting in left, Haniger in right. We'll see if Luke Raley, because I mean, after the Luke Raley trade, I started looking into everything, was super high on him. One of 10 guys with an 80 in the 80th percentile or higher in barrel percentage and sprint speed. Potentially one of the underlooked power speed threats. So Luke Raley has a real potential high ceiling. Dominic Canzone apparently came in with 15 pounds of muscle added this offseason. So he's been looking solid. But as far as the lineup, the top half is going to be, is what it is, what it's been in spring training. JP Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Jorge Polanco, Mitch Garver. And then I had Luke Raley after Mitch Garver at the 5 spot, but Mitch Haniger has been batting 5. So I don't think there's been a lineup yet with Cal Raleigh and Mitch Haniger in there, or at least like a fully built out lineup. So I'm curious if Cal Raleigh is going to be batting after Mitch Garver, or if it's going to be Mitch Garver and then Mitch Haniger and then Cal Raleigh. But it's going to be some combination of, Mitch Garver, Haniger, Cal Raleigh, then Ty France. And then you got the Canzone or Luke Raley, depending on who's playing outfield that day with Haniger. And then Luis Arias, Josh Rojas will round it out. So really curious to see how they use Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone. And answering John's question on if we think Mitch Haniger will be playing just 3 games a week. From the looks of it, they're probably going to try to roll him out there, I would say 5 times a week. I don't know. I'm skeptical with his health just because of he's got a 39 home run, 100 RBI season in him somewhere, and I'm sure that's still there. But whether or not he could stay healthy and whether the Mariners should risk his health when he could be a clutch bat in the late innings, worst case scenario if Canzone and Raley are out there in the corners. But solid lineup in my opinion.
They're playing the Red Sox. Are we doing the lineup or the opening day lineup? Just to be
opening day lineup. But it could be like
the Red Sox. Anyway. We play the Red Sox opening day, right?
Oh yeah,
yes,
right.
we do.
I'm not sure who's their
projected?
Giolito's out for the season.
Yeah, and Chris Sale is in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is it Bello? Brian is that Brian Bello?
Let
Below?
me see.
Their rotation's not very good.
Brian Bello.
Belo, I think
He
it's
just signed an
Belo.
extension. He's a righty, right?
I guess he's the guy.
Yeah, Bello.
Yeah, so we'll go with him. I think Mitch Haniger is going to start opening day almost just even if he is going to be platooned. I think they'll give him like a welcome back. He'll be in the lineup. So again, as I always seem to do, just kind of echoing what Couch said on that. I think it'll be JP, Julio, Polanco, Garver. I'm going to guess they probably put Cal in between the Mitches just to break up the right-handedness. I don't know. So I'll go Cal, Mitch, Ty France. Who am I missing here? Rojas, and then I'll go Canzone. I'll say they go with Canzone over Rayleigh and left on opening day. Actually, I don't know. I'll say Canzone. That could go either way. And then Rojas, ninth against a righty.
Yeah, that's a pretty good lineup. And now here is mine. I got your leadoff hitter, who I lobbied to be the leadoff hitter, especially in the first half of 2023. JP Crawford is going to be your leadoff hitter. Number 2 will be Julio Rodriguez. Number 3, Jorge Polanco. DH will be Mitch Garver. Number 5, I'm putting in Cal Raleigh because I think he is expected to be one of the better catchers, even though that one mock top 10 top catchers that we saw.
ESPN?
It was Fox. It was Fox Sports.
Fox said he's
not. And then they left JP off the top 10 shortstops. I think they're just trolling us.
You know what?
East Coast bias there.
You know what? They need that. They need that motivation to prove the haters wrong. So that's why I expect Cal Raleigh to be number 5 because he wants to get up there as soon as possible to hit the ball and say, you guys were wrong about me. Number 6, Ty France. And yes, do not put him as number 3, no matter how fit he is, no matter how much pure muscle he's gotten, how much he's lost weight, because no matter what, that guy can still hit into a double play. Let's not do that. Number 7, I'm going to put in Dominic Canzone and / Mitch Haniger as the platoon guys. And hopefully we get the healthy Mitch Haniger. Number 8, Luke Rayleigh, only because his spring training has been a little bit lacking. So I think maybe they're going to start him at 8, and then he'll work his way up if he gets to that 2023 Luke Rayleigh that we are looking for. And then number 9, Josh Rojas and Luis Urias. That's the position I am probably the most nervous about other than the Mitch Haniger position. But at least we don't have 2019 Ryan Healy at third base. I remember just watching him was like, no, I don't want to watch that again. Luckily, we didn't have to for so long.
How many days a week do you think Mitch Haniger will play in the outfield?
In the outfield alone, I expect no less than 3, no more than 3 to 4, in my opinion, because I just don't want the guy to get injured. Because every time it happens, it's really sad to watch him get injured. And Trident, how many days do you expect Mitch Haniger to play in that right field? Because I don't expect it too long. Maybe I expect him to rotate between Mitch Garver for the DH spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the nice thing is I think the depth on this team is pretty good. So I don't think you have to play Haniger every day here. You can give him a couple days off, and you have Luke Rayleigh or Canzone against a righty that can play there, and you've got Dylan Moore, that can slide in as well. Like you said, I think you can DH Haniger. I don't know if Mitch Garver's been catching it all in spring. I don't think he has, but
he better not put on a catcher's glove.
No, I mean, Couch made that case, and it was a very good case. That's why
that's
what Zavala's for.
Well, and you just don't want to lose Mitch Garver's bat. That's the main reason you brought him in here. And if you've got to upgrade backup catcher, you can do it another way. I've got a question. I hope that answered the question. I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys on that. Opening day starter, is it going to be Castillo again? Have we heard anything on that? Are they going to go Kirby? I would think they're going to stick with Castillo, just kind of a legacy, a little bit. But has that been announced yet?
The great fist.
Yeah.
I pitched a 1-2-3 fist.
I don't think it's been announced, but I would assume so. He's the Rock.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's slotted out as Castillo Kirby now instead of Castillo Gilbert like it was last year. So Kirby took that step
Kirby
up in
should be at
rotation.
least number 2, if not.
Uh,
Even though I personally think he's a number 1 starter over Castillo, but
It's
the
a
way
great
it
problem
is.
to have when you have
yes.
3 starters that could be
Yes.
ones in other rotations.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if they came out tomorrow and said Logan Gilbert's getting the nod, I mean, I would be like, hey, most tenured pitcher on this staff. Like, I'd have no problem with it at all. So that's, like I said, it's a great problem to have. And it's, but yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it'll be Castillo.
You got to
as well.
downgrade Castillo at this point since he doesn't have a splitter yet. Everyone else has
That's
a
right.
splitter.
Speak of Castillo, is it safe to say right now, just for now, Mariners won that trade out of pure luck because some guy named
Noelvi?
Noelvi Marte
Well,
cannot stay off the PEDs.
I mean,
go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say you always have to give up something to give or to get, and Noelvi Marte we could use Noelvi Marte at third base right now if he was not suspended. We could, that would be a great guy to have right there. But you added an ace to your rotation heading into that final stretch in 22 to break that playoff drought. I mean, that was worth every penny.
Well, another reason why I remember when I first saw that trade, I was at Dairy Queen getting some ice cream with my friend after hitting baseballs. I saw the trade. I go, whoa, what is going on? I saw Noelvi Marte, but then when I look at the prospects, I was like, okay, we still have Cole Young. We have Felly and Celestia on the way. Okay, I'll let it slide. But it worked out anyway because Castillo is now our number 1 guy, and he does have that catchy. I pitched the 1-2-3 fist of success. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I was at a birthday party for my son at the Great Wolf Lodge. It's a big indoor water park out here. And I had like 50 texts on my phone. I'm like, oh God, somebody died when the Castillo trade went down. But no, to answer that question, like, yeah, I will do that trade every day. It helped end the drought, gave us legitimate ace that we locked up long-term. I did say at the start of that trade, I don't know if I made a video on it, but I did say, like, it wouldn't shock me if we look back in that trade in 20 years and the Reds get more WAR at wins above replacement level out of that trade. They got the more long-term pieces with Marte and who else was in the trade that
Edwin
last year?
Arroyo.
Edwin Arroyo wasn't.
Levi Stout, who's now back with the Mariners.
Yeah, who's back in the Mariners. I always mix up who was in the Winker Suarez trade sometimes in the
Connor
Castillo
Phillips,
trade.
Brandon Williamson, all those guys.
Yeah, exactly. So
I missed
so
Jake
many
Fraley,
Reds
though.
that were ex-Mariners at this point.
I know. I just put those
We make
trades
so many
together
deals with
now.
each other. Ken
Right,
Griffey
but-
for Mike Cameron.
But that was a trade that it was meant to. It's doing what it was meant to do from the Mariners standpoint. The Reds side is still wait and see. I wouldn't give up on Marte. He's still really young. He made a mistake. Hopefully he can rebound from it, and he'll be back out second half of the year helping the Reds. He looked really good last year. So I still wouldn't be down. It's super disappointing if you're a Reds fan, but I still wouldn't be too down on it. I think I really do think it was a win-win for both teams. I think both teams made out well. And I think both teams are going to look back on that trade in 10 years and say they'd do it again in a heartbeat.
I guess, yeah, those are great points. And I did look at Marte's numbers, and I'm thinking, yep, he should be a new superstar in the making, but we won't find out until 81 games later, I guess. So now I wanted to go back to Mitch Haniger now. Injury concerns, all aboard. And plus, he's always had the most random injuries as well. But one thing, if it makes anyone feel better, Mitch Haniger is healthy statistically every 3 years since 2018. 2018, the All-Star season. 2021, nearly hit 40 home runs. And now 3 years later, 2024, could it be?
It's like
I'm
the
knocking
Giants
on that wood.
Like the Giants, every even year they win a World
That's
Series.
right.
With Mitch
They
Haniger
did
every
from
third year.
2010 to
He's
14.
healthy.
They should have won in 16. Oh, so maybe if 14 was the last Giants championship, could 24 then be the last Mitch Haniger run? If that's the case, Mariners, you better win a World Series this year. I want a World Series with Mitch Haniger healthy, because I don't know what is going to happen after that.
Also, just worth noting, looking at Mitch Haniger's career splits, I was curious if he does hit lefties better. Looks like there is a bit of a difference against righties. He's a 249 average 778 OPS versus lefties. He's a 275 batting average, 840 OPS. So about 50 points, actually 60-point difference with OPS against lefties. So if they do decide to platoon him, and assuming that there's more righties, obviously starting pitchers, then the lefties and Rayleigh and Canzone would get more at bats over Haniger.
Yeah.
So just an
Speak of Rayleigh,
yeah.
we got a question from a fan. Thoughts on Luke Rayleigh? Like, we didn't really touch on him a lot, other than the fact that spring training performance kind of stinks. But what are your thoughts on Rayleigh? And I assume that he'll play left field because I think Canzone and Haniger plays right field. But should we be concerned about his spring training woes going into the season?
Jay?
I'm not concerned about the spring training. You know, it is like everybody else is killing it. Someone's got to be the one guy that doesn't have the good spring. I'd be lying if I didn't have some concern, because second half last year he did drop off a little bit from his first half. Still really excited about Luke Rayleigh. Couch touched on some of the things earlier with the barrel rate, the sprint speed, a really sneaky good athlete with legit pop. I'm really excited for Luke Rayleigh. So I'm not worried in terms of anything this spring. I mean, at the end of the day, what are we looking at? 25 at bats. I mean, that's 4 to 6 games equivalent to a season. We would never look at a 5-game stretch for someone and be like, get them out of there. So, you know, not worried about anything in spring. You know, I do have some, like I said, concern just a little bit based on last year and how he dropped off a little bit. But I am overall very excited for Luke Rayleigh. I think he's going to be a solid addition and can't wait to see him out there.
I mean, no matter how he does, it is, as of now, it is exciting that and amazing that the Mariners did get Luke Rayleigh off of Jose Caballero, where in the beginning of last season, we didn't even know if he was going to amount to anything. Well, he did. He got the Astros to have Caballero live rent-free in their heads. But other than that, he didn't really amount to much. But the fact that we got Luke Rayleigh out of it, I'll take it, unless the Rays do develop him, which they do a good job with hitters.
Yeah, for me on Luke Rayleigh, yeah, I don't take too much weight on the spring training. I mean, you could say the same thing about Jared Kelenick's spring training this year. You know, he got his 3rd hit, I believe, today. So Kelenick's at 088, Luke Rayleigh somewhere around there right now. Yeah, I mean, his ceiling is extremely high, as is Dominic Canzone. Luke Rayleigh, if you look at his first 2 stints in the major leagues in 2021 with the Dodgers, 2022 with the Rays, batted 182 and then 197 in 33 games and 22 games. And he's talked about in interviews how he just wasn't getting consistent at bats. And, you know, he was called up to the Dodgers. He would be up there for a little bit, was sent back down, called back up, sent back down, and he would crush in the minor leagues. But then once he got to the big leagues, he wasn't able to make that adjustment. So with both Canzone and Rayleigh, you have to give both of them enough plate appearances to be able to actually take that next step. And so my only concern is that they don't get enough at bats. That's where I more so lean towards starting those guys over Haniger. I understand his potential and his contract and all that stuff, but keep Haniger healthy, especially for the stretch down and, you know, towards the playoffs. Let Rayleigh and Dominic Canzone get their feet under themselves and pick up steam, and then, you know, see where things are at.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I mean, I think we all would agree that Haniger would probably have the more limited role, just because, like you said, let's have him healthy for the playoffs. And speak of playoffs, I'm just hoping we survive April with our bullpen health woes. So let's I mean, if we can get through April with the bullpen not doing too bad, I will be more than happy about that. And then we got our friend Dixon, must be a couch fan. Who spends the most time at DH? What if Rayleigh, Rodriguez, Haniger works out for a 500 plate appearance each?
I'll say Mitch Garver spends the most time at DH. I think Mitch Garver's your DH. Put him there every day. He's gonna stay healthy because he's not catching, as I've said in the past. If you have Mitch Garver out there just crushing fastballs, another video, you know, his player profile, he's been statistically the best fastball hitter in baseball since 2019 when you take out 2020. by weighted on base average. So when he's in the lineup, he crushes fastballs. He hits breaking balls, obviously. He's going to be the DH. Keep him there. When Haniger's not in the field, just give Haniger a full off day, unless you use him in the later innings.
Yeah, I think we're all going to agree it's going to be Mitch Garver and maybe a little bit of a rotation of Mitch Haniger as well. So the Mitches will probably own that DH spot unless weird things happen throughout the season. Now, we're pretty much about to conclude. We're almost 10 minutes to spare, I will say, but I think we may end it. And before I go, Mr. Dixon, yes, thanks for subbing to us all, and make sure everyone else sub to all three of us. Now, my final question to everyone, including myself, when will be your first Mariners game to go to of the season? I am going to try to go to either the Eugenio Suarez homecoming or the Jared Kelnick homecoming. I'm going to try to shoot for both of them, but I expect one of those to be my first ones. I'm not going to opening day. I'd rather do that for my butt and this computer and the camera in my face.
Jay?
So yeah, you guys know I'm not in Seattle or in Washington, so I'm going to try to get to at least one spring game in the middle of a move, so that's going to be tough. And then we are planning, the annual family trip to Disneyland. So I'm hoping to do that maybe while the Mariners are in Anaheim, and then go to a game down in Anaheim. Unfortunately, they won't be in Arizona this year. They were here last year. So, and then maybe I'd love to do like a trip to, did the Mariners go to San Diego this year? I'm assuming so. They go to San Diego every year.
I think they do. Yeah. I don't think they did this year. They were in Seattle this year.
No, they did. They did both.
They do it twice.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those would be my best bets. Would love to get up to Seattle at some point. My wife and I did talk about it. So hopefully maybe not this season, but next, we're super jealous, not to derail this conversation, but my wife's parents are big Phillies fans. Her parents are flying to Philadelphia for opening day. Super jealous. They're going to all the weekend series games to start it. So I'm hoping one day to do that trip myself, and we're going to get up to Seattle again. But yeah, probably Anaheim sometime this year.
That's awesome. I'll be there opening day and then the day after that. So if you'll be up there, if you're listening, you'll be there opening day. Come find me in the bullpen before the game.
Go find him.
Yep.
And if you're going to be looking for me, I will be doing my own play-by-play here, possibly with the Trident, and that's why I'm itching for that day. It's because opening day for us, it's like our Christmas and our Black Friday.
Oh, I love opening day. I just like 9 a.m. I'm going to be putting my earbuds in and listening to some Royals Tigers or something at 9 in the whatever they're playing. I cannot wait for opening day. It's like a kid in a candy store with all the baseball going on. I can't wait.
I'm probably going to play the Dave Niehaus Welcome Back baseball on repeat throughout that entire day. So that's what I'm also looking forward to. Welcome back baseball. Yep. So that's going to do it for the show. It almost reached an hour, but with 7 minutes to spare, let's give ourselves 7 minutes out of here. So thank you very much for being on this show. And remember, subscribe and like and comment on all three of our videos, channels, everything, so we can all grow together and be the mainstream of Mariners content. And everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you, Couch, for being here, especially taking the time, considering that you have a huge video to do in the next 2 days. And Trident, as usual, thanks for that butt blocking, and thanks for being here.
Anytime. Hopefully no one just heard that line and wonders what the heck we're talking about. So.
Maybe I'll explain it later. But
yeah, thank you both. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Of course.
Have a great night. Go Mariners.